Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump nuts. We want the cup nuts and Monica McNut nuts. Today is Thursday, June 6th, US, and this is What Chaos presented by Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports Made Easy. Use promo code What Chaos for a first deposit match up to $100. I am DJ Bean. I am looking at Pete Blackburn, and out of the corner of my left eye sits a boy named Sean DePaz. Hi, boys.
Hello, fellas. How are we?
Sean, let that sax keep honking. I like hearing it. Did you turn it down? Is it dead? It's gone?
It fades out on itself.
Tony Barba on the sax. Just fucking screaming on that thing. My God.
I know last time I was remote, I faked the cardinal sin of podcasting, which is holding the handheld mic.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually functionally committing the cardinal sin of podcasting.
It does, because I'm using the real mic. You have a fake mic, and the fake one is a little smaller, so it makes your hands look gigantic because it looks like you're holding like a real SM7, and your hands are taking up the whole thing. Makes them look huge.
That's why I only drink Miller High Life ponies. Same reason.
Yeah. Sean, what you know about Miller High Life ponies?
I know what they are. That's about it.
Nice. They're little small boys.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Chat's asking a lot of questions. Am I in Edmonton? Am I in a lid stock room?
Yes.
No, I'm literally in my closet. So I'm a closeted man in Pride Month.
Hell good. Yeah. Well, take your time. It's all good. Just want everybody to be happy and healthy. We are 2 days from the Stanley Cup Final. We last night had night 3 with no hockey games. Pete, what did you do?
Edited some video. Go check out our NHL playoff speed run. It is finalized. It is on the YouTube. It's on our Twitter. It's on all the good places. I'm happy with it. I think it was maybe not as great as the first one, but like just a smidge below.
It's fantastic as always. I think that it's great. I think that it's great. You maybe think it's not as good because it's the second time we've done it. So like it doesn't have that like initial magic, but like quality wise, it's just as great. And I think the magic is there. I think that those are so much fun to do.
They're
you just
so
come
much
up with
fun.
a list of things and then phrase them as funny as you can.
Yeah, except Johnny Laz responded to the video on Twitter, and which famously this video features both of us going back and forth and reciting all the things that have happened during the playoffs. Johnny Lazarus responded and said, "Great job, DJ."
I'll take the compliment. I'll take the compliment. Absolute doghouse behavior. I said this in our group text. There needs to be at least 3 front-facing members for somebody to say one person did a good job. Like if I listen to the Come Town podcast, famously, no offense to this person, I can't really listen to it because Stavros is laughing too loud.
I love his laugh so much.
If I listen to that and I'm like, damn, Nick was really funny, I don't think it's a major insult to the other 2 because there's a bunch of people going. If it's only 2 people and you say, good job, one person, it's massive. What did he say fuck me for the other person?
Exactly. So I put up that video, did finish that up last night. I also played a little bit of Ghosts of Tsushima. It's just an incredible game. Incredible game. So I need you to get on the video game train, at least for the summer. You got to get College Football 25. Get a PlayStation 5, please.
I did have an idea. We're going to stream all the Stanley Cup Final games. What if in like the hour before or whatever, we play whatever game it's going to be on NHL, like the NHL video game, and we can spin the wheel to determine, Do we do it with Pete and Sean playing each other as the Oilers and Panthers, or do we do DJ versus the computer on like easy, given that I do not know how to play that game? Could be fun.
I would definitely do that. Hell yeah.
And I think that people would actually tune into that for some reason.
You also said Mario Kart during the intermissions of Stanley Cup final games. I would absolutely do that as well.
Sean, what do you think? Could be fun.
I have questions about the technological part. Yeah, the logistics of it. But in theory, I think it'd be great.
Okay.
Sean, did you stream last night?
I did stream last night. I'm at my work finally.
How'd it go? Did you get subs?
No subs. You got to be an affiliate to get subs, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. You got to do a certain amount of hours.
Yeah, but I got a handful of followers. There's a good number of whatnuts in there. I just went around, played a bunch of random games, played NHL, and started raging. Interestingly, I have a franchise, an expansion franchise I made in our first year. Got to the Western Conference Final against the Edmonton Oilers. Team, a handful of whatnuts saw me lose in Game 6 of double OT to get eliminated in the Western Conference Final. So it's interestingly the final that this NHL season simulated is the Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers.
Wow!
So NHL was right on it. Although they had
the allegations of being a bad game.
Yeah, they had the Bruins in the conference final against the Panthers, so not that realistic.
This sounds like some premium content. I'm proud of you, buddy.
Yeah, I spent. People were giving me a hard time. Not a hard time, but they were joshing me a little bit for. I spent like 5 minutes breaking down a replay because my computers just suck. They just like.
Oh yeah, that's all I want. Oh yeah,
just like
never apologize for that shit. Like if I tune into a Sean stream and I don't get like frame by frame breakdowns of the replays,
I had computers running into each other in overtime. Like I can't have this in Game 6 of the Western Conference Final. Unacceptable.
Got to tighten it up.
Beat Darnell Nurse in a fight twice.
It's called
in that
accountability.
Series. Yeah, it is. Tough. We'll get them next year.
Where are we on Sean's oil man status? Are you back yet?
No.
Are you? You're not active. You're not actually going to root against the Oilers, are you?
I think it's gonna be one. I think it's just gonna be like a little bit of like a Hunger Games type of thing where you're down to the last two and somebody has to die. Like I don't necessarily want the Oilers to lose, but they have to at this point. It just is what it is.
It's a battle between everything that is Sean, because Sean is a big don't you ever fucking cross me, don't you say one bad thing about my team, but also Sean's a big that guy's the greatest player ever, don't be fucking stupid guy. So I think that you should be rooting for Connor McDavid to win a cup above all else.
I think there's going to be a lot of that's awesome. As like I wish I could enjoy this. I wish I'm glad that he won the final. It's too bad I can't root for it. I can't enjoy it.
As an oil man, I don't like that you're kind of abandoning the oil.
I think there's too much truth in what Chris Knobloch said to like really, really hold that grudge for longer than a few days.
A series. I'll hold the grudge for a series. He can get me back next year, but it's not about it being true. I don't have a problem with that. It's about it being uncalled for. They had it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago 30 years ago.
No, it was all uncalled for. It was bad behavior, but
we don't need it. We don't need it.
I'm not going to fucking bail on a team as a result of it. I went sailing. It was lovely. I got some sun, listened to some music, talked about some basketball, NBA Finals, Game 1 tonight. Very, very excited. I'm wearing my Tingus Pingus that I got at the Bruins Pro Shop Wars. Shout out the Bruins. Just loaded up on Celtics gear at that thing. Fantastic. Can't wait to go to Game 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. That rocks. Sean, who you got in the NBA Finals?
I mean,
are you rooting for the Mavs?
I don't really know. I'm kind of
Sean's
indifferent.
Having a tough go of it.
I'm kind of indifferent on these two. Luka, I just can't really. I don't really think I want to see Luka win a championship yet. I don't think I'm ready for that.
I'm being forced to make assumptions here.
Yeah, go for it. No, I'm a Devin Booker guy.
You don't like fat players?
I don't like Europeans. No, I'm a Devin Booker guy, and they're obviously a little bit of rivals. So I wouldn't be no one enjoys the misery of Boston sports fans quite like me. So if Kyrie wants to just go crazy on the Celtics, I would enjoy that. But also, like, I can appreciate greatness above all else, and if the Celtics are going to be great, then I can enjoy that.
So that's why I thought that you would root for and I think initially why you were rooting for the Oilers above all else.
Yeah, but if Jason Tatum comes out here and shits on the Buffalo Bills, then they'll be dead to me, and I'll get a Kyrie Irving. No, not a Kyrie Irving tattoo. I guess any other Maverick player tattoo.
I like to
saying you don't like Europeans on an NHL podcast is very funny. I'm not gonna let that one slip by.
Joking, obviously.
I do want to get ahead of something. When I'm in Edmonton, I will not be getting one of those tattoos that they're doing at the games because they're orange, and
that seems like black and white.
I will only get black tattoos.
I respect that. I was orange. I feel like just. How do you even see an orange tattoo? Like,
and if I got that in black, then it kind of looks like a teardrop tattoo.
As long as you don't get under your eye.
Right, but getting a teardrop tattoo anywhere, they're like,
somebody
so you just misplaced the teardrop tattoo?
I saw somebody get like not the oil drop. They got like the Houston Oiler Tower type thing at the game. So you can get one of those. That'd be cool.
I mean, I will not rule out getting some sort of tattoo to commemorate this hockey season, but it would most likely be
Hyman's goal chart. Zach Hyman's goal chart, please. That'd be incredible.
If we hit a certain amount of subs, I will get Zach Hyman's goal chart tattooed.
You could do the NHL commercial and get a Oilers 2024 Stanley Cup champions like as soon as you land.
What if we did one of those where it's like, oh, this fan was really confident. Oops, maybe next year, but I got it after the Stanley Cup was awarded. So say the Panthers won the cup. I just fucking got a tattoo that said Edmonton Oilers 2024 Stanley Cup champions.
Get one of a team that's just already been eliminated. Like,
it's called Oil Derek.
Not even in the final.
It is a Derek. Yes. I know that from the 2007 Paul Thomas Anderson film, There Will Be Blood. Big episode today. We're getting perspectives from Edmonton and from Florida. Pete said after our conversation with Roy Bellamy, like, hey, we every conversation turns into, wow, these two cities are so far apart. Sean has decided that that's good, and we're going to lean into it. And most of our content now will be built around the fact that Florida and Edmonton are far from each other. Sean, I got to say, I think that's amazing behavior.
2,540 miles.
How many kilometers?
4,000. Oh, I lost the tweet. Twitter's been
4,087.7 kilometers Canadian.
And you're not catching
tweet up right in front of me. I got sick of the distance talk about 4 minutes into the 5-day waiting period of the Stanley Cup Final. I cannot listen to any more people talk about how far apart Florida and Edmonton are. But just enough. We get it. And I know that it's easy for me to say that because I'm not doing the travel, but holy fuck, enough.
It's like really far though.
Imagine being on one of those planes. Pete, I had to do the Boston to Vancouver.
Fuck you, I know. Shut up.
You can watch like multiple movies.
That's a long trip, dude.
And you got to cross a border, multiple time zones.
What do you?
I would be okay playing the fucking Stanley Cup Final in a neutral location if we could avoid all this fucking chatter.
No,
I feel like Belga right now. Enough of the fucking chit chat. Enough of the travel chit chat.
Chat, get into it. Start like tweeting at hockey writers whenever they tweet anything about if they're like, another turnover by Darnell Nurse. Be like, how do you think you would play if you had to travel X amount of miles every other day? Are you even aware
every mistake that a player makes in the Stanley Cup Final, we just chalk it up to jet lag and blame it on jet lag?
Yes.
It's going to be game 1 in Florida. The Panthers are going to make a mistake. Have not traveled in like 2 weeks and be like, jet lag.
What?
That's a long distance.
They've been home this whole time.
They're thinking about the jet lag they're going to have. They're thinking about the travel.
Yeah.
That's why
Can't
they made
focus because they're going to be on a plane for like 4 straight hours.
Every time there's an icing, it'd be like, man, he threw it 180 feet.
Dude, that shit all the way to Edmonton.
Imagine throwing it 4,508 million kilometers Canadian. Oh my gosh. The Amazon thing is out. The trailer for the Amazon hockey thing where they follow people and do all that. We got a lot of great players involved. McDavid, Draisaitl, Is Hyman in on it? We lose Pete's audio?
Pete got quiet.
Well, let's hope Amazon doesn't lose Pete's audio because Pete's one of the people, the talking heads in it. I don't think we have Pete.
No, it's amazing that this doesn't happen more on podcasts where they hold the mics.
Oh, right. You press the wrong button.
Right?
Oh, yeah. This is a touch. There's like a touch thing on this. Am I too loud now?
You're good.
Sorry. Okay.
good.
Yeah. There's a touch mute button on this, so you're not supposed to hold it. So
Correct.
that's there we go.
Public
But
service
yeah,
announcement.
you
did
went
that on
in and you
purpose.
did some talking head things for them to cut away when they're showing players stuff, and then they show people that say like, "Oh, that guy's really good at hockey." What'd you talk about? What'd you do? What are we going to see?
I'm not gonna talk about what I talked about before it's shown, but yeah,
that means Pete doesn't know what they're going to use.
I don't know what they're gonna use.
Yeah.
I sat down for like 5 or 6 hours. I'm gonna do another session coming up in a few weeks, and so very excited. The list of players that are involved is fucking insane. So great job by like the people running that. I think it's Box to Box Productions. Great job like highlighting the players that we actually want to see. Great job by the players signing up and being willing to do this. You asked if Zach Hyman is involved. He is involved. He's not one of the players that's featured, but he is. He's going to be there talking about Leon, talking about Connor. There's a lot of players that like they released the players that are being featured, and I think there's like 10 to 12 of them. But there are a lot more that are going to be featured talking about like the main featured players.
I have the list. It's McDavid, Kachuk, Matthew, obviously, Jacob Trouba, Leon Draisaitl, Pastrnak and Swayman, Quinn Hughes, Jack Eichel, Willie Nylander, Philip Forsberg, and Gabriel Landeskog.
Amazing. Yeah, well, it should be sick. And Pete got some primo placement in the trailer, which is very nice. He was the first non-hockey player's voice featured.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I'm very excited for this. Pete aside, produced by the same people that produced Drive to Survive, which, like, I think kind of changed the way that sports like approach, like their like public image, or whatever, because it like launched that sport into popularity in the United States, and I think it hopefully can do something similar for the NHL.
Chat raises the point it's not going to be good because Matt Rempe isn't in it, so maybe
As
next
of now,
season.
you never know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jacob Trouba's in it, and I don't know who the players around Trouba are who are going to be talking about, like in terms of Rangers.
That'd be so funny if they were like, "What are the things that you've learned from Jacob Trouba over the years?" He's like, "I've played 5 minutes."
Yeah, he's like, I never play hockey, and when I do, I say Jiminy Crickets.
Matt Rempe would be like, I had one conversation with Jacob Trouba, and then I immediately got suspended.
Yeah, pretty much. But I will say I meant to. There was a great like welcome to the Boston Bruins being a loser franchise moment I had on the boat last night. We were talking about who everybody wants to win the cup, and there was a Bruins fan there, and he was like, "Oh, Panthers all the way." And I was like, "Ew, why? Root for the Oilers." He is solely rooting for the Panthers because he wants Leon Draisaitl to get sick of Edmonton and sign with the Bruins in free agency in a year, 2 years, whatever. Amazing. You are a loser franchise behavior. Like, is that not something that say like a Sabres fan would do? Like think like 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that like would it help or hurt Leon's cause had he won a Stanley Cup before the contract runs out? Like he could say, job's done here. I can go somewhere else and be the guy. So it just kind of depends on your mentality there.
And plus, if you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to get out of this Canadian city. I'm all done here. You're just going to go sign with the Panthers anyway.
Somebody said,
so money.
So are they still filming the McDavid and Kachuk parts? Yeah, they're still going. They're like with both of those guys and Leon. They're going to be throughout the Stanley Cup Final. Like some of the storylines and some of the shit that they've captured already between Willie Nylander being out for the start of the playoffs. You saw some of those clips in the trailer, like him having to watch the beginning of these playoffs from home. That's going to be awesome. They're following Pastrnak and Swayman, who obviously were central key figures in the Bruins playoff run. Like that Game 7 storyline between Nylander and Pastrnak and Swayman is going to be incredible.
Yeah, that's all I hope for. I didn't see the Drive to Survive thing. Like,
Amazing.
All I care about is that the content is real and that the content is good, and that it doesn't feel like it's a, hey, like, let's be careful, let's not make anybody look bad thing. Like, if guys are pissed, if guys are emotional, I want to see that.
Oh yeah, I mean, famously with the Drive to Survive thing, like F1s, and I mean, there's been issues with it not being like chronological or whatever, but like their best driver didn't like how he was being portrayed, and he's like, I'm not talking to you anymore, which I think is a sign that they are not afraid of pissing off players to tell the right story. I like that they are saying, like, I think you kind of mentioned yesterday in abstract, like the scenes we'll get from the Tkachuk family if Matthew Tkachuk wins. Like, it says specifically that they're staying embedded with McDavid and Matthew Tkachuk's families. So I hope we get to see a lot of Keith and Brady.
Before we get to our interviews, let's do an early like spike. If anybody is watching for the first time and has not subscribed on YouTube, please do that. And if you are not subscribed anywhere, wherever you can get this thing, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever, Deezer, just make sure you hammer whatever button can get you where you want to go. And Pete, if you could direct them to press another button.
Yeah, if you see that thumbs up button right below the video player on YouTube, that is called the like button. And if you smash that button right now, you can participate in a staple of this program, which is the like spike. You hit it in 3, 2, 1, just smash that thumbs up, and you see those likes climb expeditiously. Also, yeah, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on the socials. Do all that stuff. This is what you call housekeeping.
Yeah, as I'm watching, we really do see the numbers go up, huh? It works. It's an effective little trick there. Okay, very exciting stuff. Here is our conversation with the great voice of the Edmonton Oilers, Jack Michaels. All right, let's bring in Ithaca College's own Jack Michaels. Jack, we've wanted you to be on the show forever. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, well, it's easy for you to say that after the fact. I had to have a number of hearsay situations. Oh, I've been on their show 8, 9 times. So many. I feel like contacting me on social media was fairly simple. So I'll have to take your word for it, but I'm a little dubious as I enter this program.
We are crossing off like the whole gang. So
Yeah.
Gene, we met in Vegas, which was a dream come true. Bob, we've had on a couple of times. We love you so much. Like, my favorite Oilers game this season, do you remember January 23rd? What does January 23rd mean to you?
Well, sadly, it meant a milestone birthday to me.
It was your fucking birthday, and there was a game going on, and the Oilers were trying to, like, make this run and do all these things, and they were like, hold on, everybody. It's somebody's birthday. And instead of talking about the game, they spent like 20 minutes on giving you a cake. And that's how I like my hockey.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know whether you remember the year before, they actually stopped the game to acknowledge the 1,000th game. And Darnell Nurse after the game was like, "Hey, you got to smile more, man. We were putting you on the Jumbotron." And I was like, I was mortified that they're stopping an NHL game to acknowledge me doing 1,000. And who knows? Someone counted that up for me, but these milestones, all they mean, guys, is I'm turning into an old man. As you can tell, I got some gray creeping into that beard of mine.
It's a good beard, though. Did you eat the birthday cake?
Unfortunately, as you can probably tell, I eat just about everything that's in front of me.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm supposed to have some sort of lunch or dinner date with Bob when I'm out there next week. So if
Make
you could
sure he pays. Make sure he pays, please.
Hell yeah. I don't know. If I'm the guest, should I be like, if I'm parachuting in when all of you guys are working, I'm not even applying for a credential. I'm just going for vibes only. So if I'm just dropping in, I feel like I should be buying people things for putting up with me.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to see if Bob at least think for a moment that he might have to pay. I want to see him sweat a little bit.
Okay, so we love you, obviously, on the calls. And it is funny that what you're talking about with like the mortified they stopped the games of the whole crew and all of the extravagance that goes on. You do seem like one of the people who's like, hey, I don't necessarily need this. I'd be just as happy if we were all just kind of doing the job, but you have fun with it. And obviously everyone knows you as the Sportsnet voice of the Oilers, but in the playoffs, you've been on the radio call, and Fortunately, we've been able to, people have been syncing up the calls with the end of the games, and your calls at the ends of some of these series are incredible. What are the last 30 seconds of a big game, such as Game 6 of the Western Conference Final, like in your head?
Nothing. That's the answer. It's a blackout situation. It's totally, I'm caught up. I mean, not to put myself in the same breath as an athlete, but yeah, you're just kind of wrapped up in what you're doing. I never have any idea what I say. It's not like the end of some of these golf tournaments. I don't have like scripted things like, one for the ages, or at last, Lord Stanley, I don't have any of that stuff. I don't like to script. I don't like to, I just kind of try to capture the moment, and especially when you're on the radio, you want to be a bit of a guide dog for people who don't have the opportunity to go. I mean, I've got to be mindful of the fact that the bulk of my audience doesn't have, let's face it, the money to attend these games. It is a bit of a privileged scenario when you get to this round. The ticket prices, not just Edmonton but around the league, I mean, this is a rare experience for people. And so when I'm broadcasting to an audience that is 10 times the people that actually can make the game, I want them to feel like they're part of it. I want them to feel like they're sitting by me watching the game with everything in their lives at stake, even though it's ultimately just a hockey game. Basically, I want to feel the way I would if I was watching, and we know how removed this is. If I was watching the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl, like, I want to be in that moment, and I want the person to feel the same kind of energy that they'd get from me if I was watching the Browns driving, for a touchdown to win the Super Bowl. And I realize I might have to live 3 more lifetimes to get to that point, but I guess that's what I'm striving for at the end of those games. In terms of the words that come out, I have no recollection of any of them.
Well, first of all, I'm jealous that you black out and just spew like unbelievable stuff, because when I black out, I spew nonsense that is horrible. Your Game 6 call was so good that it led to the appearance of you on this podcast, because like I tweeted, I'm like out of breath, like listening to this call, and a bunch of people were like, "Get Jack on the podcast, get Jack on the podcast," and that's how here you are. But
Yeah.
do you ever have to like talk yourself down or kind of keep your emotion or energy in check? Because you were, it seemed like, on the brink of being out of breath for about a minute straight at the end of Game 6.
Well, fortunately for me in terms of occupation, and certainly unfortunately for instance, my son, when he's on the receiving end of a tirade, that's the one thing I've been blessed with. I don't drink tea with honey. I don't take these safeguards. I'm not sucking on halls. I may sound like I smoke five packs a day. I guess the only precautionary thing I do is I don't have bad habits like smoking or stuff that would get into my voice. But I'm just blessed with a decent set of lungs, in the sense that once I get going, I can usually finish up and then kind of exhale. And a lot of people sometimes give me credit after the fact, and I appreciate it for kind of letting the moment breathe. I'm not only letting the moment breathe, I'm letting myself breathe a little bit, at the end there. And I want them to feel the energy of the crowd as much as they feel my energy, because again, when you're an announcer, you got to realize you're not the show. The game's the show, and not just the game, but the whole atmosphere, right? When you're at a rock concert, or you're at an awesome party, there's a lot of stuff going on. And so sometimes it's nice to kind of give it 4 or 5 seconds so you can take in all that stuff. When I was teaching my kids to drive, I was like, the biggest thing, guys, you've got to get to is, it's not just like the car in front of you and the road in front of you. You need to eventually kind of widen out your vision if you're going to be a good driver. right? And that's what I'm trying to do when I'm calling a game. Even though I'm on the radio, I'm trying to let everything else seep in a little bit. So again, they feel like they're next to me at the game, not just listening to me over, say, a telephone.
Are you aware that you're part of such a special group? And I'm not talking about the Oilers. I'm talking about like you and Louie and Gene and Bob and that whole group, because truly that broadcast during the like I watch every Oilers game, and a lot of it is because I love watching Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman and Connor McDavid, et cetera, et cetera. But you, as Gene knows, we've told Gene and Bob, like, we don't change the channel at any points because the broadcast itself is so good and the group is so exciting. Are you all aware that like we've kind of got something special here and at least unique? Like we're kind of those bitches, as they say.
Best show on TV.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say is, I think, you and you and DJ, or you and Pete, whatever the order you guys want to put yourselves in, there's a natural chemistry, right? I think it has allowed your pod to grow. It has allowed each, individual guy to get some recognition or whatever. And it probably starts, and who knows, but it probably starts from the fact that at one point you were kind of buddies talking about the game. I don't know. I'm guessing. I've never talked to you before in my life, but I'm guessing if you're doing a podcast together, at some point you got along and said, you know what, we should do this.
No, we were
we
industry
should see
plans.
how this.
We're we're the first two white dudes who are friends to ever do a podcast. We're
There you
breaking
go.
new ground here.
Well, that's the thing is, honestly, I think a lot of what you're feeling from the show and what you're complimenting is the fact that we kind of ooze that a little bit, in the sense that we're genuinely friends. Like, Louis and Gene are two of the best people I know, and Bob is just such a character. And we love like talking about, and arguing about almost every subject on the matter of sports there is. It truly is taking what you have in casual conversation and bringing it to a big audience. In our case, the friendships are real, the chemistry is real, and I think the reason we're able to connect with some viewers is they get the sense that these are people that enjoy being around one another, that enjoy sports, that enjoy being, a small part of the action. And we all have that in common, and we do. We're friends, and I think it helps. It's not a prerequisite in this business, and there's lots of stories about great broadcast teams that weren't necessarily the best of friends off the ice. For me, it feels a lot easier to have that pre-existing friendship. I mean, and I was good friends with all these guys before I started working with them. At least in the case of Louie and Gene, I'd been traveling as part of the radio team. We'd had dinners, we'd had a lot of nights together, and fun times before we ever worked together. And I think that carries over, and I'm sure it does with your show as well.
Did you ever feel like, how's this happening? I'm an American. I mean, you don't think that like nationalism would exist so strong, but like
I almost didn't apply.
What's that?
I almost didn't apply for this job because
you applied for the Panthers, right?
I was in line for the Panthers a couple times. Jigsy has told me after the fact that he tried to get me in there, and there were a couple of extenuating circumstances while that didn't happen. I was a little close with the Islanders. Neil Smith all of a sudden was, when his GM tenure lasted 15 days, that might have affected some employment opportunities for me there, and then I was close with a few other spots. But when the Edmonton job came open, I think it was the only one open in the summer of 2010, and I almost didn't apply. I mean, no Canadian had ever done play-by-play or no American had ever done play-by-play for a Canadian team. No American had ever done play-by-play for Hockey Night in Canada. And after the fact, that feels pretty good. I mean, I mean, it's a big compliment to me, and I'm very proud of that. But yeah, no, I almost didn't apply. I almost did. Matter of fact, it's so funny with those other things. I really felt everything went well and I was going to get the job. And in this business, you learn that rejection, it's a lot like my dating history. It's 99.6% of my existence. But you know what? Maybe it was because I was relaxed and, just tossed it out there. And all of a sudden I'm flying to Edmonton and I'm like, holy cow, never set foot in the province. I'd really only been to Toronto and Victoria when it came to Canada. So, border cities. And, it just so happened that this turned out to be the big break. That's the way it is in life. Everything you think usually is turned on a dime. But I am glad it was a last second decision to apply, and so many things about that process kind of went right for me that I feel exceptionally fortunate, and it's a thrill to be part of this city because I can't imagine it mattering more than it does to the city of Edmonton.
Are you as shocked and disappointed as I am that you haven't gotten more national run on national broadcasts? It's crazy.
I appreciate you saying that. And I think, when you get into this business, of course, you feel like, hey, I can call a game as good as anyone. But those decisions are so far out of my control. And I hate to sound like a player or a coach, but it's honestly like, what am I going to do about it? Right. I mean, there's a lot of talented people who do what I do. And if they're getting selected and I'm not, you know, it's not an insult to me. It just shows you kind of the depth of quality people who love doing this for a living as much as I do, and that's ultimately the way you got to look at it. Because otherwise, you get yourself in a negative mind space.
So Tom Brady famously, like if you broke up his career into different chunks, they'd all still be Hall of Fame careers. If you broke up your broadcasting career, I think that it would just be so interesting in terms of like Oilers eras, because you drop in at what, summer of 2010, you said. So
Yes.
that's the beginning of all the good stuff for the Oilers. Here comes Taylor Hall. Here comes Jordan Eberle. And as we all know, you
Didn't
ended
turn
up
out
getting.
that way.
What's that?
Didn't turn out that way, did it?
Yeah, so like you got like the oil change era that really didn't go so well, and then when you became the full-time TV guy is I think 2021, and that's when really the Oilers are taking shape. McDavid and Draisaitl are like entering their prime. You've seen the lowest of the lows with this, and now you're kind of at the top with the team. It's cliche, but like, does it make it sweeter to have experienced how much shit they've had to experience? And like, what
Well,
was it
yeah,
like
I
calling
mean,
some bad games?
yeah, no, I mean, there were a few years early of the Dallas Aikens era. We were out of it by Halloween. I mean, you're doing a 65 game exhibition schedule. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. I mean, let's call it the way it is. Oilers got off to a decent start the one year. I think it was Nuge's rookie year. They were maybe 9-3-1, but that didn't last long, and it wasn't sustainable, as I recall. Happy Boone was playing out of his mind. But yeah, I mean, the lean years always make you appreciate the good times, and I would say that for my career as a whole. I mean, I called an ostrich race, for God's sake. I was doing, high school football reports, in Western Pennsylvania in the driving rain for $25 a night. I did a morning radio show where, I'd have to bluff my way through an interview with the governor of Pennsylvania like I knew anything about local, let alone regional politics. That guy goes on to be the director of Homeland Security. His name was Tom Ridge. I mean, I think about all those things. I think about, talking with Joan Estes, master gardener, on my morning show when I was 22 years old about gardening tips. I think about talking with Trapper John about getting rid of rodents underneath your porch. I mean, you know, I've had a, I've had an interesting, but that's the good stuff, right? You're laying the foundation. I mean, there was a volcano that erupted that led us to, extending a road trip to 29 days when I was working for Alaska. I mean, it's funny, they keep talking about this is the Stanley Cup Final with the two cities furthest from one another, 2,500 miles. I've done three other hockey playoff series that are nearly double that: Anchorage to Trenton, Anchorage to Atlanta, and Anchorage to the longest one was Anchorage to Charleston, South Carolina. That's almost double the mileage. I mean, it's just funny. Like, and a lot of people far more talented than I don't have to do that. They're talented enough and good enough where they're seemingly in one of the four major professional sports by the time they're 30 or whatever. I didn't have the talent, but I have a lot more stories than they do.
And don't they say, Pete will know this, don't, like with lifting, they say use free weights instead of machines because you get like the auxiliary muscles, right?
Yeah.
Like having to do, instead of it all being made for you.
Yeah.
I so believe.
So that's my problem. So
Yes.
I'd be huge if
Same
I had
brother.
done that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I
We've just been using the machines is all.
Yeah,
But like
it
Yeah.
takes a certain level of control to keep the free weights in their place where you need them to be.
So you build like all these other muscles. I so believe like do everything. Take an improv class or do like whatever you need to do to kind of round out the skill set. And so many of the good broadcasters do have their like anchorage chapters, you know?
Yeah. I can put up a dasher board as well as anyone in the National Hockey League. If you had me, if you said, Jack, put up a dash, I could do it. I've done all that stuff. You know, I've sold a sponsorship to a to a cemetery, you know, keys to burying that night's opponent because we already had a locksmith, so I couldn't sell him keys to the game. I mean, you have to be creative and you have to have a sense of humor when you come from the humble beginnings that I've come from. But yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, do I appreciate that? Absolutely. And I mean, I I do check myself every time, you know, every so often I'll be like, "Oh, my shampoo wasn't, you know, replaced in the morning or something in the hotel," and I'll catch myself and say, Jack, seriously, like just get over yourself, like, you know. So yes, I mean, I love the foundation that was kind of laid for me, and I love all those experiences, and you know, all the crazy bus trips and some of the adventures and airline travel. It's all made this worth it, and I just can't wait to get started.
If a time traveler visited you back in November and was to tell you that the Edmonton Oilers would be heading for the Stanley Cup Final, how much full of shit would you accuse that time traveler of being?
I mean, that's a tough question. Honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, the team I knew was good. They were in an incredible funk. At the time, think about it, like, and even the teams that did get in, and they were nearly 100-point teams, but the Western Conference, especially early in the year, remember the Coyotes were holding down a playoff spot. I mean, there were some teams that didn't get rolling until pretty late in the year. I honestly felt Edmonton was going to be in the playoffs. You know, if you told me at that exact moment Stanley Cup Final, I might have been like, well, that could be a stretch because you knew Dallas, Colorado, and Vegas would be fearsome. And I think to some degree, Edmonton caught a bit of a break when LA got that last second goal on game 82. And all of a sudden, the Kings, whom the Oilers had already beaten twice in previous playoff series, was the first round opponent. Vancouver proved tougher than many people expected, including me in the second round. But I do think Dallas looked like a club that had survived the last two Stanley Cup champions by the time they got to Edmonton at times, not taking anything away from the Oilers. But I wouldn't have been as shocked as you think. I honestly wouldn't have. I felt it was a good team. I felt they needed something to go right to get them rolling in the right direction. I always felt they'd be in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I would have been concerned, but I didn't rule it out. I didn't rule it out, and really once they got rolling, I kind of thought, you know, that's one of those situations. You know, it's like a St. Louis. If you sail through the regular season, especially as a preseason cup favorite, you're just as liable to wind up the way Tampa did in the first round as 2019 as you are to raise the Stanley Cup. I honestly, I'm not saying I, you know, would have put all my money on it. I'm just saying I wouldn't have been shocked.
How much have you learned or how much has changed about this team in the postseason? Because people who don't watch the team regularly in the Western Conference Final came away impressed by how well the Oilers defended. People like me who do watch Oilers games came away very impressed by how the Oilers defended. So like for somebody who's calling all the games and seeing them all the time, Has anything changed? Like, is it a Knobloch thing? What has made them so much better and so much more responsible, especially as that Dallas series went on?
Well, here's the thing, guys. Since you watch every game, I think the Oilers won 8 in a row, then they lost 3 in a row, and I think they were sitting at 13, 15, and 1. And then they won 16 games in a row. Now, what do we remember about that streak? What I remember is 14 of the 16 games they allowed 2 goals or less. They didn't win them 7-3. And they had some cupcakes in that stretch, but they weren't beating them 9-2 for the most part. If you look at that streak, as I recall, there are a lot of 3-1s in there
Oh,
and
yeah.
4-2s and 4-1s and and think about game 4 against LA, a 1-0 win where you get outshot 33-13. Think about this. Dallas's perceived advantages in this series were what? Depth and goaltending. Well, Edmonton has the same amount of guys as Dallas with a Stanley Cup playoff goal this postseason. And Stuart Skinner outplayed Jake Ottinger. The penalty kill, 28 in a row. In my mind, hey, the power play might be historically good the last 5 years, but if you were asking me what's the one aspect of this team that has them in the Stanley Cup final, I'd tell you it was the penalty killers. I thought they sucked the life out of Vancouver in the second round, and I thought they were perfect against Dallas. Edmonton's power play didn't have to be great, and they still got 4 out of 5 to close the series, plus a shorthanded goal. Edmonton can win in a lot of different ways, and only those who've watched this team develop over the last 3 years know that the days of losing playoff games by 9-6 and 8-6 are over. And for that matter, the days of winning playoff games by those kind of scores are over. This club, if you look at their big victories, 3-1, 2-1 to close out Dallas, not 7-4, not 8-5. 3-1 and 2-1, and 2-1 on a night where they literally 5-on-5 had nothing going offensively.
Yeah, I texted DJ during that game, and I was like, a year ago, this feels like a game that the Oilers would have tried to win 5-6 or 6-0 when they
And they
got
would
out
have
to
lost
that.
7-2.
Yeah.
They would have got shredded.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I said, and they're totally
Exactly.
okay with playing a defensive game and winning it. Even from afar, I feel like I can feel the love that is in the Oilers dressing room this year. Like, it just feels like a group that really, really cares about each other and rallies around one another. Being so close to it, can you tell us anything about how much that group loves each other?
I can tell you this, they're good people. They're at a stage of their lives that's a little bit different from the average NHL team. A lot of them have families. A lot of them are deep enough in their lives to have kids. A lot of them have fiancés. It's not a team that, just plays video games and hockey. I mean, it's not that type of team. There's a depth to this team that comes with life experience as well as just sporting experience. And I think there's enough veterans in there that realize this may not come around. Corey Perry won a Stanley Cup when he was 22. He's been waiting 17 years. Adam Henrique went to the Cup final as a rookie. He's waited 12 years to get back to the stretch. It means a lot to these guys. And I think because they're more complete adults, that there's a closeness of feeling and a little bit there's depth to the relationships inside the locker room that are sometimes lacking, not always, but think about it. We're different when we're 30 than we're 25. We're different when we're 35 than 30. I think we appreciate friendships more. I think we appreciate certain stretches of time more and recognize how valuable it is. And I think that's what you're getting out of this team.
Well, he's an American hero and Canada's sweetheart. Jack Michaels, we are so glad you joined us. Hopefully, I'll see you out in Edmonton next week. I've never been before. You must expect like utmost madness that even you haven't seen out there, yeah?
100%. It's a great atmosphere. You'll absolutely love it. Just don't big time me. I mean, at least give me a nod when you walk by. You don't
Well,
have to say, "Hey, Jack." You just give me a nod. Give me some form of acknowledgement.
I'll say this. I'll probably go to one of the games. I probably won't be able to swing doing 2 games. But what do I do for the other game? Like, do I do the moss pit or what's the move out there?
Oh, There'll be plenty of moves out there. You can take it. You might end up on a side street. I mean, there's going to be a lot of moves for the taking for you out there. You'll have a great time.
All right. Well, Jack, I can't tell you. Wait,
What
did you say
happens
move?
in
Did you say
Edmonton stays
move?
in Edmonton.
Moves.
Okay, okay. Because the audio or something, I thought he said boobs, and I was like,
Boobs.
No.
that lady's
Although
boobs have taken
that's
over the.
viral too. That's
Yes.
viral too. Who knows? Maybe she'll be on the next podcast.
We're efforting it, Jack.
Oh,
thank
I'm
you.
sure you are.
You're the best. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks so much.
God, what a legend. I love all of them. Gene, Bob, Jack, Louie. Come on the pod, King.
We got them all. Well, yeah, I guess we need Louis.
Louie would be
Pokemon, collect
amazing.
them all.
I just want to get some of them together. I want to get Gene with Bob, Jack with Louie would be incredible.
Yeah. I want to see. I feel like you could take any two of them, and it
Just
would be
how they play off each other
fascinating, yeah.
is so unbelievably magical. Seeing a lot of people viewing. If you're watching for the first time, make sure you subscribe. We appreciate you very much. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100x your cash. I could go through talking points. I could talk about the many various features, but I'm just going to go from the heart because I do play Prize Picks regularly. It is my go-to, I'll say, companion and aid while watching the game. The way I like to think of it is like, you know how sometimes you're watching, say, a show you've seen a million times, and you go on your phone for a little bit, whatever it may be, you dink around. You need some sort of companion piece to whatever's going on. This is like playing a little puzzle while you're watching a sporting event. And if it's a big game, it heightens it. And if it's a kind of boring game, it gives you a reason to follow along. It's great. And it doesn't give you that kind of bad feeling that you have sometimes when you're betting on something where you're like, I'm only doing it for blah, 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 and you're like really hanging on everything. This is just a nice little...
It's for the vibes.
It's just
you vibe out.
You know what? It's like having a glass of wine with dinner.
Yes. There's a big difference between having a glass of wine and like a shot of tequila.
And drinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
This is my Prize Picks is my glass of wine as I have a nice, I don't know, a nice little, let's say, fish dish, something like that. So
they're giving away free money tonight, basically.
What are they doing?
One of the options for Celtics Mavs tonight is Jason Tatum more than half a point.
Oh, they're doing one of those?
They're just kind of giving away money.
Prize Picks, get on it. I mean, I'll do a call to action in a second, but prizepicks.com/whatchaos. For sure, do that. Get in on that. And you can do it with a group. You can do it with some friends. It's a lot of fun. Download the app today and use code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Also, make sure you smash like if you are watching on YouTube. We would appreciate that heavily. Sean, you said something's going on in the Discord?
Yeah. Join the Discord if you're not. And the link to it is in the description. The What Nuts planned, completely separate from the three of us, planned There Will Be Blood watch along tonight.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing it, but
I'm not completely sure either. I believe your boy Lark, one of the What Nuts that we see often, Jesse. Yeah, I think he's running it. I don't know. It's nice because it's a What Chaos thing that we have nothing to do with. So I'm just going to show up and watch a movie.
That's amazing. You're going to jump in?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to watch it tonight.
What time are they doing it?
Because 9 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Yeah.
Game one could be out of hand by then for the Celtics. So maybe I'll jump in as well. That's fantastic behavior.
Yeah. I love it. What Nuts are awesome. Join the Discord.
Great job. And I mean, I've watched There Will Be Blood like 100 times.
I still haven't watched it yet these playoffs, so this is perfect for me.
That's very exciting.
Also, the Discord is where you get how you find out that I'm streaming, because I streamed last night and I only told Discord. I didn't tell anybody.
That's an exclusive. That's only for the babies.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It's a very good move on your part.
Join the What Chaos Discord. Link in the description.
We have Roy Bellamy, producer of the Levitard Show with Stu Gotts on Meadowlark Media and the Hockey Show on Meadowlark Media coming up in just a minute. But first, gotta tell you about our friends at Bauer. Are you looking for new ways to dominate on the ice? Bauer is here to give you an assist by being the go-to destination for your training needs. Whether you're an elite skater or a rookie in Rec League, these training tools are built to help you become the player you've always wanted to be. It is, I mean, I'm always draping myself in Bauer, as is Pete, especially on Fridays. It's all so good. Terrific stuff. Head to bauer.com/training to explore the full range of training gear like the digital reactor dangler for stick handling drills or the reactor slide board to help add strength to your stride. Use code FREESHIPWC for free shipping or visit a local Bauer retailer to get started today. Here is our friend and big-time Rangers fan, Roy Bellamy. All right, we're joined by Roy Bellamy, Meadowlark Media, Dan Lebitard Show, hockey show on Meadowlark. What's up, Roy?
Hey, fellas. Yes, I'm still angry about. We were talking about jerseys before we got on here. I'm angry about the Jazz changing the uniforms back to the '98 uniforms, and I'm we mentioned the Blues uniforms, and I was upset when they changed it in the the '96 season. I think they changed it and added red to the uniforms. I'm like, it was blue and yellow the entire existence. Why are you putting red in the uniforms? And then they changed it back. So it hasn't been red since. Of course,
it looks
they
so
back
good,
often.
though.
I
Buddy,
love those.
no,
ones.
It looked amazing.
They're
no.
perfectly shitty. Those ones, and the primary colors are important to people. I'm surprised I'm surprised that you have such hatred. I think you said terrible for the Jazz new uniforms.
Terrible.
That's surprising to me. I want the Utah team to copy those Jazz uniforms and do purple, baby blue, and black. What say you?
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. But I don't want the mountain. No mountains. Let's get the mountains out of here. What
the only
Jazz
thing that anybody can say about Utah?
Right, but there needs to be something that actually is somewhat representative of the Utah experience, other than making white one of their colors.
Okay, well, let's not make the mountain uniform the primary. Let's make it the alternate. And because what does Jazz have to do with mountains, really? I mean, come on.
What does Jazz have to do with Utah? That's the bigger question.
Touché.
But I'll say this on the Blues. The Blues are one of the teams that I generally trust to never make a jersey that is going to offend me. Red Wings are on that list.
What about the one that has the instruments all over it?
Super cool
the trumpet?
Yeah, that one is horrible.
It was incredible.
Yeah,
they're like, when you're listening to blues music, the first instrument you think of? Trumpet. Give me some of that blues trumpet. Make it swing.
Exactly.
Generally, like, all their outdoor jerseys have been good. All of their primary jerseys over the years have been good, but nobody can really touch the Red Wings.
Hey, check this out.
What's that?
St. Lubega. Trumpet.
Oh, that's right.
Little Mambo number 5 for you, huh?
Oh,
you know that he's German, like Leon Draisaitl?
I did not know that. That is new. That is news to me. German, huh?
He is German, and his last name is Lubega.
Yeah, it just
his first name is not Lou. His full name Lubega.
That's probably one of those situations where he was born on an army base. And
correct. That is 100% true. Born on an army base.
Do you know what? Do you know what Jason Derulo's last name is?
Derulo.
It's Derulo, and it's spelled DESRE, like LEAUX. But he just makes it Derulo, breaks it down.
Yeah,
like
well,
Louis
it looks
CK,
better.
except less problematic.
Yeah, exactly. It looks better. It doesn't look as French. That's why he did it.
Okay, well, you're a Panthers guy. You're a big Panthers guy. As I said, you do the hockey show. How do you feel about your Panthers as they reach the Stanley Cup Final for the second straight year? You feeling cocky? Do you feel like this is their time?
Well, yes, I do. I'm cocky. Yes, I kind of predicted this throughout the season. I've been correct so far in the playoffs as well, as far as games won, or series won, I should say, in the games. But I really should not be as cocky, considering that we're practically playing the Rangers offense plus 2 of the best players in the entire universe currently. So I shouldn't be as cocky, but if you saw what the Panthers did to the Rangers as far as limiting them shots and their defense, I can say that, hey, we got a significant chance to win this one in 6. So that is my prediction, that the Panthers are going to win in 6. And there's a lot of, it's basically 50-50 from all the predictions that I've seen. A lot of 6s for the Panthers, a lot of 7s for the Panthers, a lot of 6s for the Oilers, a lot of 7s for the Oilers. So it looks like it's down the middle. But if you look at the odds in this one, it's looking like it's going to be the Panthers' favor. So I want to say I'm too cocky, but I would say I'm very confident.
There's two differences that stand out to me with this year's Panthers team versus last year's Panthers team in the Cup final. One, they're alive. Like Matthew Tkachuk is not currently dying, which is very, very big for them. And two, I never would have thought I would have said this a week ago, but like they do have Vladimir Tarasenko, and Vladimir Tarasenko is actually doing something. Like, are you guys feeling some life off of that? The bigger one should be that Gus Forsling has become like the best defenseman in the NHL maybe right now. Yeah. But do you think that they're better suited now than they were a year ago?
Absolutely. They have the experience. I mean, they learned a lot from last season and how they can go about things here. I mean, it's a completely different team that they're playing, but they do have the experience and they have the help. And during the last series against the Rangers, Vladimir Tarasenko was very, very active, especially defensively. It was very noticeable how well he did defensively. And, of course, he got the game-winning goal in Game 6 against the Rangers. So, yeah, I'm very happy with Tarasenko's playoff effort right now. And, of course, he does have the experience as well. I mean, they call him the professor, the hockey professor in the locker room. So, yeah, he's teaching them a thing or two. So, health, however, that is extremely significant. Everybody is healthy. Even Sam Bennett, who came off of that hand injury after the blocked shot.
I thought you meant the punch.
No, come on. Yeah, it's a rabbit punch. I can admit
it was bad behavior. You can't do it. Got away with one a little bit.
You weren't sneaking by me without me making that joke. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Brad Marchand even excused it. I mean, he said this is the playoffs. You're supposed to hurt people. So, yeah.
Oh, is that good if Brad Marchand supports your behavior, though? We're a Brad Marchand show.
Oh, you want that guy?
Because it happened to him.
Interesting.
Because it happened to him.
That's your character witness?
That is my character witness is the actual guy, the actual victim.
The victim?
The actual victim is my character witness.
You said Tarasenko is the hockey professor. You know who I think is the hockey professor?
Who's that, DJ?
This guy, because he loves hockey and he looks like the professor from And One.
Oh,
remember the professor?
I wouldn't say I look like the professor, but
remember
get on the court over there with that Marlboro.
You white, you Ben Affleck.
Yeah, you white and small, you Ben Affleck.
Yeah, exactly.
Professor.
I mean, there are differences for sure from this year's Panthers team and last year's Panthers team. I also think a big thing to not ignore is that there's a difference in the opponent. Like the Panthers are the adult team in this matchup, and the Oilers are kind of the new assholes. So that could be a big factor as well. So I did see earlier you threw some respect on Connor McDavid's name, and I saw this morning you quote tweeted a columnist from Florida, Greg Cote, who besmirched the name.
That's your boy, right? That's your coworker.
Yes, Greg Cody is our Tuesday guest co-host on the Dan Le Batard show with Stu Gatz.
I would love to read this quote for the people who are unaware of it. It's a poll from the column that he wrote. Connor McDavid is overrated. Boom. He puts up big, impressive stats. Yes, fine. But should he really be called generational, in quotes, called the best player in the sport, when in 9 seasons he has yet to lead his team to a Stanley Cup? He has the requisite nicknames, McJesus, the chosen one, but he has not proved beyond stats transcendent, able to lift a franchise to ultimate heights. Mick overrated. And then you quote tweeted with, for fuck's sake. So, would love your take on that.
Well, today on the Dan Le Batard show with Stu Gatz, it was Stu Gatz only today. He came on and amended his statement and said that he was an underachiever.
All right, well, he sounds like a coward and a pussy because you can't write that and then appear on a show and be like, you can walk it back immediately.
Also, though,
it was bad. It was really bad, man.
I mean, I do love I'm a huge Oilers fan, and I love Connor McDavid. I think Connor McDavid is legitimately the greatest of all time. But I do respect best player is overrated. Boom. I would have made that just the poll quote. I would have made that. I hope that was the lead to his story.
I hope so.
Connor McDavid is
I
overrated.
think,
New graph, boom, new graph, then say some other shit.
I think it was actually. I think it was the lead to the story.
Fantastic lead.
It's just
Yeah.
Connor McDavid overrated, boom, and then line rushes.
Right, yeah, then like a kicker, yeah, or something at the end. Do you fear Connor McDavid though? Because I'll tell you what, like the way that the Panthers play, I think the Oilers kind of are a good foil for them. And I think that when the Panthers do step up at the blue line and let guys get behind them, which has happened throughout the playoffs, but it hasn't really hurt the Panthers too much. If that's Connor McDavid getting behind them, it's a lot scarier than when it's, I was saying the other day, like when it's Pavel Zacha. So like, do you fear McDavid?
I mean, of course I do. He's the best player on the planet. I mean, like the Panthers defense are going to have to bottle them up, and that's going to be a tough task. And the Panthers offensively loves to have their defensemen pinch in, and sometimes they get out of position. That's what lead to breakaways. That lead to transition opportunities. And it did kill them during the Rangers series because they were able to get back and back check, and especially when you have a guy like Alexander Barkov and everything. But yeah, you're gonna have to pick your spots with this team because that can come back to bite you in the ass if you give up odd man rushes like that, and the first line's out there. Oh boy, yeah, you're gonna have to hope that Sergei Bobrovsky's on his game, but I trust the Panthers defense. I trust them back checking. I trust them getting back on defense. I trust Sam Reinhart as well, getting back there. And, of course, Gustav Forsling as well. Aaron Ekblad, hopefully he'll be able to get there. But, he's been injury prone throughout his career here in Florida. So speed's not there. But I would hope that the Panthers defense would get back and hopefully stop whatever transition opportunity that the Oilers would have.
What how much have you seen the hockey fandom in Florida shift over the past few years in the interest in the Panthers?
Well, I would say that the lower bowl at Amerant Bank Arena, the season tickets have sold out. So it's growing. And that's what happens when you have a stable franchise that's winning. And I can tell you that we've let's say we like them on the damn team or something, but it's been 5 consecutive playoff appearances. Beforehand, it was 5 playoff appearances in 25 years. This team's 30 years old. They've been to the playoffs 10 times. So, yeah, 5 consecutive playoff appearances I'm 40 years old going on now, and I've watched this team for 30 years. That's incredible to me. And now them going to the 3rd Stanley Cup Final, back-to-back, second time in a row now. Yeah, I think they're jumping on board, and they are hopefully going to see a winner here.
I think if you're a 30-year Florida Panthers fan, you absolutely get to use we because you have been through some shit and you got in on the ground floor. Like that franchise and that fan base were considered punching bags for decades, and that's no longer the case, which is great for the league, great for the fan base. So yeah, you can absolutely say nobody's going to give you shit for it, but I absolutely expect to see some of the old tired, like, oh, Florida, like bullshit responses, especially going up against a Canadian team. Are you bracing for that?
Yeah, it's going to be a wild team up there. I would say everybody except for Calgary is cheering on for the Oilers right now. But I can say as a 30-year Panthers fan and now a guy who's actually covering the team, I suffered through the Mike Keenan years. I've seen some shit. I've seen them trade away Roberto Luongo in his prime. The Carlos Scratchtons of the world on this team. I mean, come on. I've been through some shit. And now,
I hadn't heard his name in 100 years, but go on.
Yeah, but now I crawled through a river of shit and made it out clean on the other side, like Andy Dufresne. I am clean. My hands are up in the air, like yes, I'm happy now.
Who is your favorite Panthers player as a kid? I was a Van Beesbrook boy.
I love Paul Laws. I love Peter Royal. I love the guys who stuck up for the players. I love the enforcers. Bill Lindsay is one of my favorite players as well. The grinders. This team, if you look at the 96 Stanley Cup team, those were grinders. Those were overachievers as opposed to Connor McDavid, apparently, according to Greg Cody. those were overachievers. That team should not have gone as far as they went. They shouldn't have gone past Philadelphia, let alone Pittsburgh. I mean, it was an amazing run by that team. So yeah, that '96 team is full of players that like David Lowry. I mean, Mike Huff. I mean, Tom Fitzgerald. Tom Fitzgerald is the one that won the Pittsburgh series for the Panthers. So yeah, I mean those are the guys that I love the most because that's what I grew up on.
So does it feel weird though to now when you're in a cup final be favored? Like last year, miracle like Cinderella story and everything. Like now, you as Pete said, like the Oilers are the what do we really do with these guys, and the Panthers are the team where everyone's like, well, their experience, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, when the Panthers traded for Matthew Tkachuk, and I saw the odds on them potentially winning the Stanley Cup. That's when I got surprised. Like, what? Like, really? Like, what? Really? Okay. And then all of a sudden they get the surprise season last year, and we're just happy to be there. And then you look at the odds coming into this season, like the favorite to win the entire thing. No. Like, no, not in my life did I ever expect that. And I'm old now.
Hell yeah.
When you look at like the pillars of this year's team and kind of this current group, like a Barkov, like a Tkachuk, when you consider like what a cup would mean to their legacy, do you think they need it? Do you think that some of these guys are already on the Rushmore of Florida Panthers players? Like, how much is on the line for some of these guys individually?
Well, Alexander Barkov is statistically the best Panther of all time. Goals, assists, points, games played. Like, he's number one at this point. I would think that for everybody else, yes, I think winning the cup they would never have to pay for another drink in this town ever again situation. Like it, but yeah, as far as people on the Mount Rushmore, I mean, Roberto Luongo, that's number 2, basically. And then you could fight for 3 and 4. You know, Pavel Bure, you can say he's on there maybe, but he's only here for a couple of years, won a couple of Maurice Richard trophies, and yeah, he was out to the Rangers. You know, maybe you could put him on there, but you know, that's about it. Like, I personally wouldn't put John Van Beesbrook on there for personal reasons because we all know why.
Not the best.
Not the best.
A little trouble there.
But, yeah, a little bit of trouble there. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Now Matthew Tkachuk is going to end up being on there. So yeah, I think we found out 4. There you go.
I mean, I think Tkachuk has obviously been the face of so much of this. Obviously, just that they made that trade when they were in the position they were in. How much, though, is Paul Maurice also the face of this? Because we watch his press conferences every day and say, it wasn't as funny as the people in attendance were laughing. But, like, he's a goofball up there. He's also a coach who's been there been around for a million years. Is he embraced down there for all he's doing?
Yes. And I would say that him being a goofball in these press conferences kind of relaxes people, you know, because I'm sure that after a couple of losses during these playoffs, maybe there could have been cause for panic for most people. But when you go up there and you're making jokes, and it's just a relaxing feeling that, okay, the head coach of this hockey team does not feel that amount of pressure that he can just be curt and mean to the journalists who are in there. Now he can make jokes. Okay, well, if he's not worried, why should I be worried? I mean, so yeah, I think especially him coming in, like, he set the tone for this team. He during training camp. This is why this team is so well conditioned, because he worked the hell out of this team in training camp. And now, as they said, the work is not over. Now they got 4 wins to go, and they're well conditioned to do it.
I love that, but I also want to check in with you after game 2. If the Panthers drop the first 2 at home and he gives a tight 5 after game 2, I want to know your honest reaction to it, because if you're like any sports fan I know, you'd be fucking losing your shit if they're down 2-0, have a horrible game, and he gets up there and he's like, hey,
breaking out props.
You know, the traffic in this city is something else, huh? I'm trying to get from A to B, and I end up at F. What's with that, everybody?
Yeah, it would be a disaster probably. Going down 0-2 having to go back to Edmonton.
And he's doing
what a-
material.
He's doing material. Yeah, that would
Gets no
disaster.
respect to the Edmonton airport, shit like that. We were talking about jerseys off the top. We want to do a uniform grade for this round. We've done it with a few of the past rounds. How do you like this jersey matchup? In general, what do you think of Panthers jerseys? Because there's a little controversy around here. Sean and I like them. They're not Pete's favorite.
No.
What do you think of the current Panthers jerseys?
When they unveiled it, I was at the unveiling, and when they brought it out, I saw the shield first. I was like, huh, that actually looks like a panther, because the original panther just looked like a cartoon, silly little thing, which we all loved. But this actually looks like a panther overlooking whatever he's surveying there. And it's a shield. It's like a military shield. So I was like, you know what? This looks nice. To me, it looked nice. I wasn't too keen on the horizontal stripe at the beginning, but it grew on me. And then when you look at the back of the jersey, the font that they use for the name, which is the same as the font that they're using on top of the shield there, I was like, okay, this is a good jersey. I like it. And of course, the Edmonton Oilers jersey, that's just old school right there, man. And I love throwbacks. I love old school. So yeah, this is a very, very good jersey matchup here. I'm very happy about it.
I'll even say I like this jersey matchup more than I liked the Panthers and Rangers, because the Panthers and Rangers matchup kind of fucked with me because it was slightly different shades of red and blue.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Unless you're colorblind, you're not going to confuse orange and red too badly.
Somebody did say in the chat in today's episode, they were like, I wish I could pull off orange pants like Pete. I was like, these are not orange. You should get your eyes checked.
That's how they learn.
Yeah. So I'm
trying to figure out what color they are actually. what color
I
are
don't
they?
dislike the Panthers' current uniforms. I think they're very inoffensive. I do like the font. And you are right in the shield looking military-esque. You're right in it looking more like a panther. I just think that those ones are so much better and have so much more personality to them. Although that's coming from me, who's not a Florida Panthers fan and doesn't really care about the pain attached to those kind of uniforms, where I imagine that maybe there's you would like to start a new chapter with some new uniforms.
Yeah, well, if you look at Center Ice at Emirates Bank Arena, they have a leaping panther. That looks more like an actual panther than the original uniforms. And we've been saying down here before they unveiled the current uniform set that maybe they should update the panther to make it look more realistic. So they haven't created an alternate jersey with that panther yet. I say maybe they should do it. Now, last season, they had a alternate jersey was sky blue, and they had the old shoulder crest, which is the sun with the hockey stick and the palm tree, and everybody scooped that one up.
I love that one.
That one was excellent. People were saying, "Hey, you know what? Maybe that should be the permanent home jersey." Like, no, maybe we should keep that, but no, not the permanent home jersey.
I like the color scheme. I like the color and the pop of that. I didn't love the logo being used on the chest. Like, that is very much a shoulder patch to me. But yeah, I like the base of that uniform a lot.
I also think that with the Panthers, they probably, and you could speak better to this than I can, Roy, like there's already a little bit of judgment that's being passed from teams and cities to the north of like, wait, why is there a hockey team in Sunrise, Florida? Like, if you make it too cartoony, you're giving the haters ammunition, which I don't care. Like, I think that like that's exactly how I want a Florida Panthers jersey to look, but I feel like the Panthers aren't really afforded the opportunity to get as fun with it because people will say like, see, that's some Mickey Mouse shit.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Vegas, but like that's worked in Vegas's favor where they're
Vegas
they're unapologetically from Vegas.
Yeah, well, for those fans in those northern cities, why is there a hockey team in Nashville? Why is there a hockey team in Tampa? Why is there a hockey team in Dallas? Why is there a hockey team in Anaheim or San Jose or what used to be Phoenix? Like, or Arizona, I should say.
Well, there's
why is there a hockey team in Utah? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why is there a hockey team in Utah now? Like, they're trying to expand. I mean, give me a break here. The guy grow the sport somehow, right? So,
and
yes.
I mean, players like going to Florida to play too. So like
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
yeah.
subscribe to any of that. Like, why is there a team there? Even like when I've gone to games there, I'm not as upset with the location as a lot of people are when
I'm
they go
upset
down
with the location.
there for
I'm
games.
not into the conversation like why is there a team there? I'm into the conversation is why is there an arena there?
Because you got to hit
Right,
Banana
yeah.
Republic outlet store right before and after. Easy peasy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I would like for them to move east, go to Fort Lauderdale, next to the port area. But yeah, I mean, they moved from Miami. They moved from Overtown up to Fort Lauderdale, and then the owner sold the team. That's how that works. But yeah, I mean, it's a big arena that's owned by the county, and they're using it. It's a big arena. It's like a 19,000 seat arena. That is a huge space, and now fans are filling it up. So I'm just happy that we have an arena, and because we have a team here. That's pretty much it.
Hell yeah. You have Panthers in 6?
Yes, Panthers in 6.
Ending it in Edmonton. I don't like that. That makes me, as an oil man, that makes me feel very nervous, especially if you've gotten every series right so far. Although Emily Kaplan famously had gotten every series right before last round. She had the Stars beating the Oilers. So streaks are meant to be broken.
Yeah, streaks are definitely meant to be broken. I think I got every series in the first round right as well. So I'm very happy. I was very proud about that one. But yeah,
I did
yeah,
not. I think I got like 3 first round series wrong.
Well, I mean, every single guest I think that we've had to this point leading up to game 1 has picked the Panthers. So
yes. Well, every guest we've had before an Oilers series, I think, has picked against the Oilers in their upcoming series. But honestly, obviously, I am rooting very heavily for the Oilers to win. But I'll be happy with elements of Matthew Tkachuk being a Stanley Cup champion, Kyle Okposo being a Stanley Cup champion, Florida just like getting a cup with what their last 5 years has looked like. I just think that's been a fun journey they've taken. And if it ends with a cup, I would have liked it to happen against a different team, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Roy, thanks so much for what's that?
And can you imagine Matthew Tkachuk winning a Stanley Cup against the Edmonton Oilers?
He'd chuck it into the stands.
I mean, Matthew Tkachuk's the summer of Tkachuk. If he does win a cup with him and Keith and Brady, the content that you'd get out of that would be quite incredible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh,
that might be the biggest reason to root for Florida as a neutral fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody except for Canada, except for Calgary, is doing that right now. Is cheering for the Oilers. So I would like to say that America's.
You should want to win at home because because obviously the scene on the ice when a team wins the cup is amazing, whether it's home or on the road. But if they win in that building and there's just fucking rats flying the whole time, that would be an amazing aesthetic.
You could fill the Stanley Cup, the bowl. I will be willing to guarantee this. If they win it in Florida on home ice, we will get a picture of the Stanley Cup, the bowl filled with rats.
Any of them live or all?
Oh, they might ship one in there.
Depends how sanitary that building's crew is.
I mean, worse things have been in the Stanley Cup.
That's true.
Yeah, very much so. And I would hope that we will that the Panthers will win at home because that means I want to have to travel to Edmonton.
Are you going to? Are you traveling for the Cup Final?
At Game 6, at least, unless of course it's 3-0 Panthers going into Game 4, then I'm going to have to expedite that thing. But Game 6 is on the books right now. And I'm hoping that we don't have to play at Game 6. I'm hoping the Panthers win in 5, so I have to do a layover in Denver or something. That's a long flight, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the people that have to do it. Potentially three times during one series. Yeah. Outrageous.
Poor Emily Kaplan. I feel so bad for her doing that.
I did the Boston-Vancouver one, and it was at the end of not only do you have to do that, but I was covering Boston, so I was at the end of a playoff run anyway. I was exhausted from doing all the trips before it, and even on the first leg of it, I wanted to die, and then I had to do 3 more because it went to 7 games. insane.
Oh,
But
that
it's
is
still
insane.
at the end of it, no matter how many games it goes, like Emily Kaplan, I know for a fact is going to be like, God, this is fucking cool.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
she'll be like, I need a year of sleep. And at some point, hopefully, like she gets it. But yeah, this is going to be a fucking awesome series. I don't think it's going to be a sweep for either side. I think it's going to be pretty lengthy. So get ready to speak Edmontonese, buddy.
Edmontonian.
Edmontonian. Yes. All right, Roy, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
DJ Pete, thank you for having me.
It's a long way between those two cities.
Over 5,000 miles.
You were first on that.
I was.
It's very good
no
reporting.
one talked about it before I brought it up today.
Speaking of reporting, we have a little update on potential Utah team names.
Yes, we do.
Give them to me.
Final 6. Utah Blizzard, Utah Hockey Club / Utah HC, Utah Mammoth, Utah Outlaws, Utah Venom, and Utah Yeti.
Okay, now if memory serves, this means neither of the teams that I wanted are there. I wanted the Mountaineers
And the Canyon.
or they wanted the Canyons.
Yeah,
and I got neither. What did you want?
I was a Hive guy, Utah Hive.
So we're all
We're
losers
over,
here.
yeah.
What of these? Shit.
Listen, I'm kind of in on Utah Hockey Club. I don't know
that-
why, but it works for me.
By default, but yeah, I'm a Major League Soccer fan, so I for sure have HC, FC, football club, soccer club fatigue.
Yeah. Well, the thing I don't like about it with soccer is like, or with MLS in particular, is that they clearly were just like trying to be European soccer, and that was never going to work. Like Europeans are never going to respect MLS. So what were you doing it for? Here, it's just like I don't know. It just seems like kind of funny for Utah to lean into being Utah and just being like, "Hey, we're a hockey club. It's just business."
Does it feel inevitable that it's going to be Yeti?
Kind of, yeah. Yeti or Mammoth. Yeti does kind of feel like the leader in the clubhouse.
If I'm going to pick of these remaining ones, I probably do also, I guess, lean HC, but I'm not going to be excited about any of it. But Mammoth might be number one for me now.
Yeah, I get it. Really just depends on the branding. Like that's my only hesitation about the Utah Hockey Club is that like that's what their current quote unquote temporary branding is. So like Utah Hockey Club won't work for me if they're keeping the temporary branding that we've seen. Like they need something a little more special than that.
I at least like the color palette they've chosen.
Yeah,
it's
so do
the
I.
one that I expected, but typically it's nice when something exceeds your expectations. There's a Nicolas Cage thing of, he says, like, if you give the best audition, it might not be well received because people have their expectation of what they want the audition to be. And if you do something above and beyond, it just does not meet their expectations. Yeah. In some cases, I'm happy to merely have my expectations met. Yeah. And I wanted it to be like kind of clean, kind of snowy, kind of light baby bluish. They gave me that. I wanted a better name, but we're not going to get it. Oh, well. HC's not terrible, though.
It is, as Olivia said in the chat, it's just clean. It's refined.
Clean.
It's like you're not going to offend anybody with that. Whereas with like an actual name, people are gonna have opinions, which like people are gonna be like, Utah Hockey Club's boring. But it's not like they can, it's gonna be hard for them to mess that up.
Someone in the chat also says that I'm serving today. Not bad. I'm wearing just a Celtics t-shirt.
Tingus Pingus.
Last week there was a comment that said I'm not going to listen to a fat guy in a Celtics t-shirt tell me about Darnell Nurse. Buddy, I'm going to tell you about Darnell Nurse. If there's one thing I'm going to do, it's going to be talk about the Edmonton Oilers, possibly wearing a Celtics shirt, but I'm very excited for my Celtics. I haven't been able to follow this season as closely as I've followed like every other Celtics season because I've been watching hockey games constantly, but I wouldn't change a thing about that. I'm excited for the finals to begin tonight. I got a good feeling about them, and I'd say Celtics in 6-ish. I do like the idea of potentially having to watch the Celtics complete a sweep in Edmonton. I don't know what the
That's funny. I didn't even think about that.
I don't know what the Edmonton Celtics bar scene is like.
I don't. Edmonton doesn't strike me as. So I was gonna say they didn't strike me as a huge basketball place, but they did have a WNBA preseason game this year.
Really?
In Edmonton, yes. So maybe they are. Maybe they're the Celtics bars all over the place. Never know.
Okay, well I'll take it. Let's do a quick slate grade. Throw it up there. You got it? Okay, tonight there is no hockey. There's game 1 is on Saturday, though. And please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube because we are going to do amazing live streams for every game. Even when I'm in Edmonton, we'll figure it out. I might have to call in. You guys might have to get a replacement. I don't know. Who cares? But these things are going to be parties. Tonight, I'll actually get a little personal. I am going to be celebrating my birthday, which is not today.
Yes.
But I can't really do it tomorrow, which is my birthday. So, by the way, happy belated birthday to Sean. So I'm just going to see family quickly, but I'll probably actually stick around, maybe watch the Celtics game with my dad. Love doing a little father-son sports watching. One of my favorite pastimes. So I'll do something like that, but mainly I'm excited to see my nephews, give those guys hugs.
Nice.
And a brief little birthday celebration-ish thing. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm gonna watch There Will Be Blood with the Discord tonight. Gotta decide what we're gonna do for dinner. Made a big mistake last night. Made a full thing, kind of meal prep for a couple of days. Put it in a container. Forgot to put the container in the fridge. Left it out all night. So all of my food for the next 2 days in the trash.
Terrible feeling.
Terrible behavior.
I did that when I got the air fryer. I made enough stuff. I did like a meal preps amount of work. Had one meal with it right there, and then left the rest of it in the air fryer. Next morning was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Had to dump it.
Yeah. I guess it's a good excuse to spend money I don't have on takeout, though.
Yeah, man. Or, this is bad advice, just like skip dinner every now and then.
Oh, it happens. Just, I eat solely based off vibes.
Really?
Just I don't have my diet is so fucked. I do not eat like a consistent number of meals or at consistent times or like consistently healthy.
Not passing any judgment, but I will notice that from time to time where we'll all be here for a while and I'll be like, God, I got to go get something to eat. And you're like, I'm cool. And
it's
I'm
also,
like, I've been with you the whole time.
Yeah. It's also like, I just can't spend money. I can't spend money that I don't have. And so I'm trying to get better about that. And because I already spend way too much money that I don't have. So, but
welcome to,
I don't have a choice now.
I hate to be I'm going to sound like a boomer. I'm going to be like, life, huh?
Oh, no.
But
Yeah. It is.
We'll talk. Been there big time. I'm always there, actually. But thank you to Jack Michaels and to Roy Bellamy for joining. This was a great episode. We've had a couple of great episodes with multiple guests. And
I think it's a good sign of how good our episodes have been when there has been literally no hockey.
Yeah. I was always confident we were going to do fine with that.
I was
fine to great, I would say.
I think the surprising part to me is that it is the shows have been like the longest that we've had the shows when there hasn't been hockey.
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't know what to do with yourself, so you just kind of do everything.
Yeah, I enjoy it because that just means there's been more chit chat and grab ass.
Chit chat, grab ass, discourse. No matter what we think we are or want to be, at the end of the day, we are just a fun hang. And that, honestly, I want us to be seen as creative. I want us to be seen as knowledgeable. I don't really care about. I've been knowledgeable at points in my life. I'll just be whatever I am right now. But as long as people are enjoying it, that's what I just don't want us to feel like we're forcing anything. And truly, this is a show where I have really never felt like we've been forcing something.
Yeah, I feel like I need to, because the chat's talking about it. Do not Venmo me money. Like I was joking.
Why not?
Do not send me money. I'm not. Donate money to charity. If you're giving away money, do not give me money. I'm fine. I just want to make that very, very clear. Donate money to charity.
I'm not telling people to not Venmo Sean.
Well, not for food. Like we were joking last night. I need a PC. Like, go buy me a PC. Don't send me money for food.
And they won't let you have one. The PC police.
The PC police.
The PC police.
The libs are preventing me. Well, the libs. You would think the libs want me to be PC, but they're not. They're not letting me.
That's what you should say. Hey, prove that you're a lib by getting me a PC.
Yeah. Prove you really want me to be PC. Buy me a PC.
I want to be as PC as possible. Please buy me a PC. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. It'll be our final show before our first big live stream of the Stanley Cup Final. Very excited. Thank you, everybody. We've been having a great week so far. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.